Cool. Can you? Oh, Good morning, guys. We have delayed the start time slightly. Sorry about that, but without further ado, we are about to head into that all-important grand final here at Comic-Con Africa. We are at the Kyalami racetrack, which is actually a phenomenal venue. We've had a phenomenal weekend of Quake as well.
So amazing, dude. I cannot believe my eyes.
We're about to head into a game between the best of the best that South Africa has to offer.
It doesn't get any better than this. So if you've tuned in, you're very lucky. And for those who haven't tuned in, spread the word.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a higher level gameplay than this in this country. Do not miss it, seriously.
So, I mean, what a better way to kick this off than starting on a map like Awoken. It's one of those maps both of these players enjoy, Haze and Phantom. It opens itself up to a lot of aggressive type of players as well, which Phantom is, he is that type of player. He likes to close the gap between him and his opponent. He likes to keep applying pressure. And once he has got you up against the wall, he's certainly not going to be letting up at all.
Definitely not. And again, these guys are internationally versed and they are very experienced players. So, and these guys know each other very well if you've been following the tournaments and leagues this far. So these guys do know each other's little tips and tricks and, you know, little caveats here and there. But these guys are going to whip out some aces out of their sleeves and seriously pull some magic today. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make. For anyone who's not familiar, these guys are both part of the same team and organization. They play duels together. These guys know pretty much everything there is to know about one another. Maybe even the duration of their showers. I'm not entirely sure.
Well,
but yeah, like I'm saying, they know so much about one another's play style. They know what to expect from each other. So it's going to be about who's able to bring a level of unpredictability to their game, something that they may be able to catch their opponents off guard. These guys are, I mean, I don't think that they scrim against anybody more than one another. You would have a
well, that's funny you say that because I know for a fact that Haze likes to play his cards close to his chest. So he may play. It was pretty phenomenal that I managed to get the show match between these guys earlier this week before Comic-Con. And to be honest, I was a little surprised that Haze was willing to reveal some of his tactics. So hopefully, without any further ado, we're going to see the tactics and the magic that these guys have in store.
Yeah, we are going straight into the game now. Phantom against Haze. We got Ranger for Phantom, we got VJ for Haze, and well, got an exchange of the Mega and the Heavy. I mean, these guys are going to take some time to get into this, I'm sure. You know, who's going to be the first one to make the move, who's going to overstep the mark, who's going to make the mistake. It's also about getting that early confidence as well, trying to put your opponent on their back foot.
Definitely, and also being the first actual matchup of the day. Yes, these guys have one or two warm-up games, but not against each other. So again, with the unpredictability of what these guys are hiding up their sleeves, I think these players might play it a little slow to begin with and try and suss each other's new little nuances that they're going to be whipping out before it gets too far underway.
Certainly agree. I mean, of course, going into this matchup, Phantom is the favorite.
He is the favorite.
He is the favorite. Haze has had some troubles in the past to try and overcome this man. Certainly would be considered the second best player in South Africa.
Definitely. Without a doubt.
Yep. We saw yesterday against Void after dropping the first map, that still didn't disturb him. He was able to get back into the game. Lands a nice railgun shot there. So he's been doing a good job of making sure that Phantom isn't able to get any nice opportunities to
keeping those angles tight.
Keeping the angles tight on a map like Awoken, that's not something you see too frequently. Generally, you end up battling against each other quite often, especially if you control that central area. Nice move there by Haze. He's actually got Phantom really low, and this is what I'm talking about. You can get around this map very, very quickly using a little gap above the portal there, trying to spot out with the railgun. Also something that we see quite frequently on this map.
So what Phantom's having to do right now is he's having to actually pull back and play a little bit more passive and generate some more stack. And by stack, we're saying health and armor. At the top right, you'll see Phantom's blue bar and green bar being the armor and the blue being the health. And on the left-hand side, we can see that Haze is slightly overstacked. You can see the shade of color changing when further down the stack line there. And he's going to try and have to even out these stacks, or at least get a really advantageous position before he even starts to execute a close range one-on-one battle.
Yeah, but have a look at this. It's actually Haze who's landing all the railgun shots, and again, Phantom backs off with his tail between his legs, and he might not be able to get across to the Mega in time. In fact, Haze is going to get control of that as well. So Phantom in an incredibly precarious position here. Just going back to that stack again, very, very powerful here for Haze, and you can see now he wants to take a fight. He knows that Phantom is low, and this is going to be his window of opportunity. He has about 10 seconds before another heavy spawns, and Phantom's just trying to buy time. You can see him even hovering around this area. The problem being, Phantom doesn't have any idea on when it's going to be spawning, and again, Haze is just doing a really good job of getting little chips done of damage consistently across the map.
Wow, as you can see, if you want to call it a little window of opportunity there by the two armors at the bottom in the water, Haze and Phantom really using it to their best of their ability, being able to just find every crack around this map and get those angles without receiving the damage in return. But unfortunately, it's going to be a back and forth between these guys. And again, Phantom is going to be a little bit on the back foot, but slightly evening up his stack now. He's probably going to want a little bit more before he actually tries to probably close the distance with his orb.
Yeah, I mean, what must be said and what Phantom's been doing really well so far in this matchup is he's been avoiding Haze. He actually hasn't been giving Haze any opportunity to take advantage of the fact that he has got such a dominant stack. And the fact that Phantom has done that, he's now got himself into a position where he's got the timing on the Mega again. In fact, now he's even going for the aggressive play with the LG. Does a decent amount of damage, but again, both players going to make it away fairly healthy. Point being though, Phantom has been making sure that even though Haze has been in a good position, he hasn't been able to capitalize.
No, and playing against a player of these caliber, these players of this caliber, you have to be extremely cautious and you have to be fully aware of the situation. You cannot leave too much up to chance, and especially with the aggressive play that these guys can exhibit, they have to have every bit of advantage on their side. So we can see we've got 4 minutes, almost 4.5 minutes into this round and not a single frag. That is how cautious these players are being right now. There's everything on the line and everything to lose right now.
I mean, on a map like Awoken, that's just not a statistic that we've seen this weekend.
Indeed.
Generally, we've seen the first kill coming within the first 30 seconds of the round.
Yeah.
So it's really a testament to how much respect these guys have for one another and how neither of them want to set the first foot wrong.
Definitely, and looking at these rail angles, getting all this chip damage, and unfortunately, jump pads aren't really your friend when you're trying to get away from someone, as you can't control your trajectory too much. There are little tricks and stuff when you got jump pads. You can hold your crouch or your jump button.
Oh, Haze gets the kill with only 5 seconds left on the clock. That means he's going to be able to pick up the first round, but how aggressive did he get there? All of a sudden, just pumping up the pace.
But Phantom just became another heat map statistic. Unfortunately, those doorways are death. You can't do anything about it. You cannot afford to be trapped in those doorways and getting those choke points when there's so much firepower, especially the dual wield from BJ. You can't risk it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you there. Phantom just, for the first time in 5 minutes, setting his foot in the wrong position, and it cost him his life. Again, Phantom needs to be careful here. Haze pops his invis. He's going to do so aggressively, repositioning perfectly, and lands the railgun shot to boot.
Absolutely
so that means
beautiful.
Phantom is already now a champion down. Have a look at how Haze has changed up. He went to his Nyx as his first champion now, after using Ranger, or excuse me, BJ as his first champion in the previous one. He gets a second kill now inside 30 seconds. Perhaps Phantom trying to change up his game style and be a little bit more aggressive and proactive in taking the fight with Haze, but it's actually cost him his life twice inside 30 seconds.
Definitely, and using that visor that Phantom pulled out to try and counter the Nyx, but Haze getting a quick frag in succession there, eliminating the counter to his Nyx.
Ooh, he actually, really nice move there from Haze, but Phantom reads it perfectly. You can see how he used the particles to act like he was wrapping around, but then doubling back. That was a nice move there by Haze, but Phantom, he's to the wiser.
Unfortunately, you get to know these things, and this is why players of this caliber sometimes don't play each other too often to show these things and the habits that these players do have. And unfortunately, that trick is a little well known with the running away and coming back with Nyx and using those particle effects to your advantage to confuse your opponents.
Oh, that was a nice rocket there. Oh, and Phantom replies with one of his own. Haze is going to have to be careful here. He doesn't have much of a stack to
they're going to meet up in this passage. No.
Oh, Haze making a good decision there. Let's jump over to Phantom's POV as he does only have one champion left in this round. He's going to have to pick up a kill to keep himself in this one. He has at least got the BJ Blazkowicz to work with, which means that he's got the potential for absolutely massive damage outputs at any given moment. Haze got the mobility with that orb as well.
It's just so interesting to see the pace from one round to the next. I don't know if Phantom was feeling like he wanted to play catch up and just get that initial frag in the beginning to try and put things in his favor, just to put Haze in a bit of a back foot. But unfortunately for him, losing 2 champions in quick succession. Wow, the rail from Phantom evening it up.
That was a really nice combo from the rocket launch into the railgun, shifting left, shifting right. But have a look at Haze. He smells blood. In fact, Phantom, excuse me, the dual wield, and he's going to be able to pick up the kill. That was incredibly dominant. He picked up 3 kills in a row there with 1 champion.
So what I could see there is Haze needed to get through the portal. Unfortunately, he would have had to have waited for Phantom to drop down before doing so. Otherwise, he would have just spawned behind Phantom and he would have turned around with the dual wield. But unfortunately, Phantom getting the kill before he can escape.
Yep, so again, Haze starts with this next guy. They're going to go straight into Banana, both running into each other. Phantom is coming off lesser of the 2, and a nice inverse there from Haze leaves Phantom in the dark. Unfortunately for Haze, not able to capitalize, but at least he does have Phantom on the back foot.
You guys may have noticed the weapon being orange and having the QuakeCon logo. These skins are available when you're watching on Twitch and watching it at the show. That is amazing!
Was that an orb kill right there?
No, that was the splash damage from the orb, but yes, an orb kill. Amazing.
Alright, we'll have a look at this. Haze tries to get back one of his own. Oh, perfect pinpoint drop there from Phantom. But it wasn't enough. I thought he had him exactly where he wanted him.
I think he killed him.
Okay, yeah, that was a bit frustrating there for Phantom. You're going to see the dual wield MG coming out, so that's another sign of frustration perhaps. Oh, Haze trying to set up a trap for Phantom by waiting behind him as Phantom comes through the teleporter. But a nice awareness there from Phantom means that he's not going to get caught out, and he's now already got Haze down to 1 champion after a minute into the 3rd round.
I think Phantom was a little wise to Haze's trick there, as when he came out the portal, there's no way that Haze could have possibly disappeared so quickly.
Yep.
He knew, no, he had to be hiding quickly around the corner, so a really good read by Phantom.
Yeah, that's a great point you make there. Just quickly making the deduction. He wasn't anywhere in the immediate vicinity.
Yeah.
He had to be behind me, and great reactions to match as well.
Amazing.
So Phantom really doesn't have to go for the fights here. You can see he wants to, though. He wants to close off this 3rd round right here, right now, and he's going to be able to do that with the dual wield LG. This man is he's just shifted up a gear since that 1st round.
Oh wow, you can't stop that train once it starts. It's seriously hard to pull the brakes on that one, and being in the way of that freight train when it comes running to you, you better be prepared, and Phantom is going to have everything in his arsenal to take you out. He is the best in the country, arguably, and well, quite literally, after every single comp, you do give this guy the most respect that you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, you just said arguably. I thought it was pretty much an undisputed thing.
It is. I used the wrong word there. It's pretty much undisputed, cool. Yeah.
Alright, I mean, the guy's just got so much experience. He's got great mechanics as well. For anybody who's not familiar, we're actually got a best of 7 on our hands today.
Yes.
Of course, Phantom does have a 1-map advantage, which means he needs to win 3 maps to close out the match. Haze has to win 4.
Yeah, check out these stats right now. Wow.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but imagine you have to pick up 4 maps against Phantom in order to close out the game. That's not a prospect that many people want to be in, or rather experience.
I'm sorry, but that's just having like an uphill climb with like a 10-ton weight on your back and someone pulling the rope as well, pulling you down. It's just everything working against you, and gravity turned up to 10. It's just, it's a seriously hard task.
A nice railgun shot there from Haze. Another follow-up as well. Some good jiggle peaks means that he negates a lot of that HP that Phantom just got, but Phantom knows that on that Nyx, Haze is still vulnerable. He may have to pop the invis. No! Haze actually comes out on top of that one with the LG. I think Phantom was a little bit over-aggressive there, and Haze punishing him.
When you say jiggle peaks, Haze, do you mean like the AD strafing and peeking? That's really interesting. I've never actually heard that term. Is that a CS?
That's a CS term, actually.
Amazing.
Where
I need to use that.
utilize the wall and you just go back and forth, and it's been dubbed the jiggle peak. So
I know the technique. I just didn't know the phrasing. That's amazing. I learned today.
There we are, bringing games together.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. You love to see it. What you also love to see is amazing Quake, and we have certainly got that on our hands at the moment. The visor for Phantom, he's going to be using it aggressively here, trying to set up a kill, potentially closing the gap quite aggressively here as he does make his way forward. Oh, 2 railgun shots. That means Haze is going to have to pop his invis here, but not the best position to be in. Is quite open. Fortunately, he does make the right call, but there's no mega for him to pick up. In fact, Phantom's going to deny that by grabbing it himself, and this should be the first kill of the round
dead in the water, literally.
Yeah, 100% body buried, and You can see Phantom reading the spawn point for Haze, firing some rockets in his direction, saying, man, I know exactly where you are. I don't even need my piercing sight.
So the spawn system in this game is not quite like the old school Quake where you could spawn right in front of the player. However, if you do delay it and quickly close the gap, you can trick the system.
Oh, nice rocket launcher shot.
Wow,
incredible.
Nice
rockets into the railgun there, doing a ton of damage to Haze. He's just not getting an opportunity to take a fight where he has a decent stack to work with. Time and time again, Phantom's just getting this damage down before he can close the gap. And we see Phantom now with the dominant stack, and have a look at the gap between them. This is where Phantom won his game against Haze last time, and Void. He had really good control over the stacks. I mean, do you remember that statistic? It was something like 34 heavies to 6.
Oh, wow. It doesn't matter how much damage you do. You're just picking up all the protection on the map. You can take such a beating, and you can be 1,000 behind in damage and still come out 3-0 on top.
Well, that's exactly what we saw happen in that matchup. Phantom is really good at controlling those heavy spawns. So the piercing sight's actually not even... Oh, Phantom had used it there to track the invis. That was really nice play. Great timing from him. We did have a chat with him before this game, and he said that he loves using that piercing sight to counter Haze's nicks, and we see it coming through in that instance there. Nice railgun shot there from Phantom again. He's got Haze up against the corner. Fortunately, though, Haze is able to make it out. Phantom making the jump across with the LG. He's also in a bit of a corner here. He needs to be careful that he doesn't catch a couple of rockets, though Haze has got barely any health next to his name. The smallest of blue bars that pretty much can get, and the railgun shot from Phantom is going to be able to close
amazing.
out.
Wow, a 3-1. To be honest, I thought it was going to be a 3-0, but Haze really pulled some tricks out the sleeve there on that first round. And I wanted to say with Phantom, in our conversation earlier with him with the Nyx and the visor, you've actually got to trick Nyx or try and get her to whip out her invisibility not on her terms, so that she uses it defensively, and then you can ignite your visor and see her invisibility and where she's going to exit.
Yep, that's exactly the way that you use visor to counter. I love the way that you say you need to try and force her to use it on not on her terms, not in a position she's comfortable trying to set up a kill, rather in a defensive manner, and then you can just chase her down. And really it completely negates the fact that or the reason that people use Nyx as a champion for that invisibility. Visor counters that directly. So, I mean, it really is a hard counter. And there's a couple other in the game as well. Nyx does really well against BJ Blazkowicz, just that you can pop that invisibility once he does the dual wield.
Definitely.
Let's just have a look at our second map here. We are going into Blood Covenant, my favorite map.
Wow. Again, guys, if you haven't been tuning in this weekend or are not familiar with Quake or Quake Champions in general, this map goes back throughout the series. I think the only game it wasn't in was perhaps Quake 2, or Quake 1, in fact. But Quake 3, Quake Live, Quake 4 had a rendition, Quake Champions, and it's a really, really well-known and favorite map amongst the community.
Well, there's a reason for that. It's got a really nice variety of long passageways, close confined quarters, good chance for some railgun. You can also utilize some of the champion's abilities like the double jump from the Doomslayer, the orb can close nice distances. I also really like the fact,
jump.
Yeah, the double jump, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I really also like that the Mega and the Heavy are on opposite sides of the map, so it's a little bit difficult for one player to grab them both simultaneously. It seems a little bit more balanced in that regard.
Definitely.
But at the same time, with them being so far apart, you can actually set up a really nice timing if you get about a space of about 10 or 12 seconds in between them, and that'll give you enough time to wrap around. So if somebody does start getting a bit of a dominant streak in the early stages of the round, it's quite difficult to come back from.
Definitely, and this map has so many caveats to it. You can hide practically anywhere. If you're in a good lead and you want to play the clock, you can seriously play a ringer on your opponents and just never be seen again. And in fact, there's an international player by the alias of Cypher who's really, really well known of it, and they say that he's a ghost. He can disappear and you'll never see him again, and there's nothing you could do about it. So this map lends itself to that, and I'm really hoping to see some of that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, as soon as you say that to me, I immediately think of Void, because he also does have that ability to get himself out of tough situations, be very evasive, be elusive, and actually just start to frustrate his opponent because he's not giving the engagement that they want.
The thing is, some people find that to be a bit of a, if I want to use a funny word, a scaly tactic. So a very tricky, like, why are you doing that? That's really bad. But the thing is, when you're playing duel, and especially at this high level, you've got to do everything you can to win. Minus cheating. You've got to do everything in your power to win, and that is a valid tactic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. That's a part of the game. It's how the dynamic actually works.
Yeah.
If you can't employ that tactic, you're going to be losing a lot of games that you should be winning. So both players using Nyx. Oh, Haze has to pop his invisibility almost instantaneously there. There was almost a telefrag coming through. Phantom reading it perfectly.
Did you know that when you're both invisible, you both see each other?
Oh, I did not know that.
Because Nyx, her story is she pops into a different dimension. And that's why you can't see her. But if you're other Nyx, you pop into the same dimension.
You go into the same dimension. How's it, brother? How are you doing?
Hey, see you later.
That was a really nice play there by Phantom because he did catch Haze off guard. Maybe not expecting Phantom to be using the Nyx as his first champion there as well. So nice little variation there by Phantom.
Absolutely fantastic, and I'm pretty sure Phantom was aware that Haze was going to be using his Nyx first. And wow, we're getting such a clash in the top there with the Rockets and just absolutely getting smashed, leaving Haze on one champion.
Wow, inside the first minute already, that is absolutely phenomenal. He does have Ranger to work with at least, which is quite a nice champion on this map, but is even going to have an opportunity to use him. He is putting down good suppressing fire with the Rockets closing the gap with the orb. Phantom though does pop his invisibility to get out. He's going to go down the passageway. Good decision there from Phantom, just trying to put as much distance between him and Haze as possible. The railgun nearly connects, but Phantom is going to be able to get the Mega, so he's going to be a little bit more healthy at this point.
So that was a very nice prediction angle from Haze, getting that rail shot in, but unfortunately missing it, knowing his opponent's going to go pick up that heavy armed item on the other side of the map.
Oh, both players just with the MG. Nice movement there by Haze using the orb.
I cannot believe that he actually survived that because he was in a really bad position. However, he might have just... No, in fact, I don't think he did pick up the heavy armor. He came in, he knew he was going to die. He thought, let me close the gap and hopefully get a shot in, and it actually paid off.
Yeah, that was impressive, and that Haze actually realized he only had one option in that instance, and that was to take the fight. There was no chance for him to escape, no chance for him to get the heavy. It was still coming off cooldown, and in that split second, making the correct decision.
Absolutely phenomenal, yeah, because you got to seriously think on your feet and be really quick in this game. It's an arena FPS, it's not as slow as the other games.
Oh, Phantom, very quick with the railgun there.
Oh, with the orb splash, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's a really unconventional fight, being chased through the passage, and that's a very odd position to be in because those stairs don't really lend too much to your movement. They really trip you around, and very odd fight to see, but Phantom managing to get the top of that.
Man, Phantom, he does have that aggressive streak in him where he'll pull it out every now and again. You wouldn't, like you said, you wouldn't see your conventional Quake player deciding to make the chase through there. You don't actually want to be chasing through choke points and through doorways. It leaves you incredibly vulnerable to the rocket launcher, as we see some tri-bolt shots getting exchanged here into the nail gun from Phantom. Let's jump over to Phantom's POV, see how he is managing going into the second round. And in fact, he is going to be dropping, I mean, are we on Phantom? Yeah, my mistake. We're not on Phantom, but our producer's on Phantom actually, so he's following what I'm saying. I'm not following what I'm saying. Good guy producer. So, Phantom does lose his champion first year, his Nyx being obliterated, so that's going to give Haze a little bit more freedom. Although, it is the visor that's come out for Phantom, so unfortunately for him, he was eliminated the Nyx. They thought, okay, cool, I'm going to have a little bit more room to work with my invisibility now, but the visor coming through is also quite a hard counter, as we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely, and I'm actually very surprised that Phantom hasn't been using the visor first like he usually does. I think he's trying to switch it up a little. As I said, these players like to switch it up and not show each other their tactics up front, and when it comes to competition time, swapping it up a little bit and changing the rhythm, and these players don't really expect it coming. Like Phantom, I don't think has ever had his first pick as Nyx. So
yeah, not even this whole tournament we haven't seen it.
And we're not seeing him play a Galena, which he usually has as his last pick. So whipping out a different selection of champions right now, and Haze is having to read a different game from him.
Yep, that's exactly what I was saying at the start of this matchup. Who's going to be able to do something a little bit more unpredictable and unconventional that their opponent may not expect from them? Phantom is going to pop the piercing sideshot. He needs to be careful. He's quite low himself. The Nyx has her invisibility to work with as well, and she does decide to pop it to get on towards the heavy platform. So both champions going to be without their ultimate for about 35 seconds or so. Oh, nice railgun shot there from Haze. Good read that Phantom would be going for the Mega, so it does negate the amount of health he's going to have. Phantom, though, using the tri-bolts up close, going into the LG. He's got Haze on the back foot here. Haze still 20 seconds away from his ultimate. He's going to have to try and get away. Phantom's certainly not going to be allowing that, and he does get himself the first kill of the second round.
So that was a pure example of height positioning and keeping higher ground, because there was not much Nyx could do there. She could either run back, forward, down, and she can't really go up, and she had finished the invisibility, so putting herself between a rock and a hard place, and Phantom picking up the slack there.
That was really nice there by Phantom, utilizing his MG. He's actually been doing it quite often on this round so far. Something that he's clearly quite comfortable with. He does get the Mega as well. He's got a pretty good timing on both the spawns now. And this is where things become a bit precarious for Haze. He does catch a railgun as well. It's going to force him off the angle. Fortunately, though, he has done a decent amount of damage to Phantom, so Phantom is not going to be pursuing him. Visor against Visor. It is going to be Haze who has that piercing side off cooldown sooner, but this is what I was talking about, the gap between the stacks. You can see that Phantom knows exactly when they're going to be spawning, and the super shotgun as well coming into play.
So as you saw, the machine gun getting whipped out earlier, managing to frag Haze. If anyone knows Phantom's history, they will know that his hit scan and his railgun are incredibly insane. And when he's in gear, there's no stopping that. And his machine gun, to be honest, I've seen him finish complete games with a machine gun playing against lesser players. It is not unheard of. So very, very cool to see that he's whipping that out and giving us his accuracy and giving us a good display.
Yeah, I mean, once you zoom in with the gun, it's got a really good hit scan.
Yeah, so they've actually, on the heavy machine gun, they've taken away the spread of the bullets.
Okay.
So it's pretty much a laser gun if you want to think about it that way, but obviously the bullets have to travel. But really, really buffed completely like from where it was.
Oh, both players meeting each other face to face there. Phantom, of course, has got one champion in the surplus, so he doesn't really need to be taking the aggressive fight here, considering that there is only a minute left on the clock. It's something that he could just try and employ that passive tactic that we were speaking about, just trying to play a ring around a rosy a little bit, especially with a champion like Visor. You can avoid your opponent, but he may actually be able to close this out right here, right now. One more railgun shot will do the job. He's going to go for the conservative approach and use the LG instead.
He did a pop, rail, and possibly another rail and finished off with the LG. He just never missed a beat.
Yes, that's exactly what he did. The 4-gun combo, or the 3-gun combo, 4 different shots, and not many champions are going to be able to sustain that amount of damage. Unless you were a Sorlag.
Hey, I know you really want to see a Sorlag, and maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Let's see a Sorlag, man. This has got to be it. This has got to be the game. All right, Haze, he's trying to close the gap here. He needs to be careful. Both players pop their invis. That means they're going to both be able to see each other. Phantom on top of the Mega first.
Fantastic.
You can't pick up the Mega when you're invis?
Nope, you cannot.
Wow.
However, if you occupy the same space while you're invisible and come out of it, you can invade your opponent's personal space, as they say, and explode him and frag him easily.
Invade their personal bubble. You get in there and you pop it from the inside out.
Definitely.
Okay, well, have a look at this. Phantom, he's looking at potentially killing all 3 of Haze's champions already. No, Haze eventually does come back into the equation by getting a kill there with his Ranger, and he's going to be able to get the Mega at least, so that's going to give him a nice little buffer there to work with.
Do you know that he almost orbed up there and got that rail kill? That was so efficient, and the map knowledge and the map awareness of these players is incredible. He knew exactly where Haze was, even though he just spawned and he was on the other side of the map.
Yep, that's true. He was fully prepared for where Haze was coming from, but Source was not able to capitalize on that 3rd kill, and Haze actually gets too quick back on his own. Phantom though, with the piercing side, he's going to be able to jump down. Haze tries to use the orb to get the telefrag, just missing the mark, and that is going to be
3-1, 3-0. Yep. Have you got any predictions for the next map? I think Haze is going to turn it up a notch.
I think I'm actually expecting Haze to turn it up a notch. We are heading into Corrupted Keep, a map without the railgun, so that's going to bring in a little bit of a different dynamic. Just having a look at the stats quickly, why don't you walk us through here, Static?
Yeah, so we got a 60% rail from Haze. He's only shooting 10 shots, but absolutely phenomenal. To be honest, if you're over 45 going 50, I think that's pretty much all anyone ever needs. And 100% shotgun, however, 1 shot being shot from Phantom.
Also, I just want to point out that Phantom had shot 105 machine gun bullets compared to the machine gun of Haze, which had only shot 19. So Phantom actually quite favoring the weapon in that matchup on Blood Covenant, using it to put a lot of suppressing fire down. And I mean, it's in the same sense of that nail gun. It can yield a high amount of damage in a short space of time if you're connecting on your shots consecutively.
Definitely. And yeah, really good points. But these players now, without the railgun coming up on Corrupted Keep, and keeping in mind that Phantom has a map advantage.
Yeah, so if he wins Corrupted Keep,
this could be the final map.
This is map point or match point, tournament point.
Yes,
Phantom.
This is when he decides, okay, is it time to cash in my check? I'd like to draw out my 10 grand, please. Show me to the nearest ATM. Oh, I need to get through Chase. Step aside, please.
Okay.
So we're gonna see. Some people might accuse me of being a fanboy, but you know, history repeats itself quite regularly with this guy, and I'm very excited to see how Phantom's gonna play this, knowing that it's gonna be the last match, and he cannot mess this up. Well, he's at the advantage, actually.
Yeah, Haze can't mess this up. He needs to pick up the next 3 maps in a row. So after Corrupted Keep, we would be heading into Blood Run and then into Vale of Narth, which is, all of them are going to be a difficult prospect for him. The only map we wouldn't be playing today is Molten Falls. If we did go the distance. Of course, the fact that Phantom has a 1-map advantage means that we cannot play 7 maps.
Of course.
It's one of those things where we could only reach a maximum of 6.
Yeah.
Logistically, it's that's how it works out. So, are we going to be seeing a different draft here coming into this matchup? I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the visor had been foregone for Phantom and he decides to
let's take a look here. Are we going to get...
Looks like it's the the visor that's come through for Phantom. I don't think that Haze has a visor. I saw a Nyx, a BJ, and a Ranger.
The visor pick was definitely to counter the Nyx. The thing is, this map is incredibly small, and as we've been saying yesterday and throughout the weekend, that you can use the sounds to your advantage. If you're walking, it kills the ambient noise, and you can hear every pickup and footstep, given your opponent is within a certain radius. But these maps being so small, it's almost impossible not to hear your opponent.
Yeah. Exactly that. So, I mean, that's why I was also thinking that the visor might not be as effective with his piercing sights. You could maybe trade that out for somebody who's going to have a little more damage output. Maybe he could go for the... He does have the BJ Blazkowicz at least. Maybe the Nyx would be quite viable on this map. I mean, do you think Nyx... Do you rate Nyx on a map like this where it is a little bit more close quarters?
Definitely, because it is close quarters. You can try and get those telefrags as you invade your opponent's personal space. But just having that wall jumping ability and having that evasive ability on the small map and really just add a little trickery to your style, it can be really, really advantageous. It actually doesn't really matter what map you play Nyx on. She's always a good pick.
Well, this is indicative of how aggressive this map might be as they run into each other inside the first 10 seconds. And Phantom is not afraid to take the fight head on here. Did you see how he just repositioned to take another engagement and then another engagement and another engagement?
And he used his machine gun to close that off.
Yeah, absolutely no indication of a passive play whatsoever. In fact, he wants to get a second one. This time it's Haze who's closing the gap. And he's actually got Phantom in a bit of a predicament here with his back up against the wall. The Mega is up for grabs. It is going to be Haze who grabs it. Is it going to be enough though? Both players incredibly low. Phantom chasing him down.
Wow,
with
how
the
did Phantom get out of that? Haze was completely on the upper foot there and he even picked up the Mega item.
No clue. How does Phantom, an absolute magician, get himself alive and walk away with the kill as well?
I think he's just a magician. You said it right there. He can completely fool you. 1 second he's there, 1 second he's not, and do a disappearing act.
And he's not even using Nyx, so that is quite phenomenal. Haze is going to be forced to use the dual wield, and look at that, Phantom just glancing to the side, absolutely negating that dual wield. No effectiveness whatsoever from Haze. At least he gets the Mega, but that hasn't been accounting for much when he does take on the fight with the predominant stack.
Clearly not. And Phantom, wow! Telefrag, perfect 100%. Doesn't matter what your stack is, that orb's gonna get you.
That was a telefrag through and through.
Wow.
This is leading to be a fairly anticlimactic game. Phantom is now 2 rounds away from claiming that 10,000 Rand prize pool.
I think you flying off your seat was the opposite of anticlimactic of this match. Oh wow, this match is getting my blood pumping already. I cannot believe what I'm seeing, and those cheeky dire orb kills are just the kind of trick that you can do on this map to kind of compensate for this lack of railgun and the lack of space.
Okay, Phantom does need to make sure that he doesn't get ahead of himself here. It looks like he's just taking every single fight that is on offer, which is certainly not the way that you got to go about this. You need to make sure that the fights are on your terms and that they are in your favor. You're going to pop the Nyx here, the Nyx invis here does Haze. Nice repositioning, catching Phantom off guard there, tries to get a bit of chip damage as he does fade away. He gets the heavy to work with as well, so he's got Phantom in a bit of a precarious position here, but that visor is able to tank quite a lot of damage.
Definitely. He's more of your mid-range hero. He's not quite a tank, but he's not a squishy. He's a good default pick if you need to Quake, and coming from Quake 3, you guys might be a fan of Visor. He's a really great champion, an all-round champion, I'd say.
So, Haze has got Phantom in a really good spot here. This is that position we talk about time and time again on Corrupted Keep. It's a really awkward place to have your back up against. There's really no room to escape. if your opponent has got you locked in there, especially with the rocket launcher. That splash damage can be detrimental. Haze, though, he does let Phantom off the hook as he makes his way back for the heavy, and he's also trying to bring the MG into play. He's identified, why is Phantom constantly using this gun? Maybe there's something to it. I'm going to try as well.
Yeah, no, well, the problem is that there's no railgun, so you don't really have a distance shot. The machine gun, infinite distance, so it's a good substitute on this map.
That's actually a great point that you make right there, with supplementing the railgun with the MG, and it actually does a fairly decent job. So Haze in a bit of a predicament here, doesn't have much of a stack to work with. At least he does get a couple of bubbles and some light armor, but that rocket's going to be negating what he didn't pick up, and Phantom wants to follow up with the back of that, and he's going to do exactly that. Really fast movement there, something that you pointed out yesterday. That Visor doesn't have a skill cap,
a limit on his speed,
a cap on his movement speed, exactly. So he can't just keep flying through the map, and it's
that
really
is his passive ability.
It's really difficult to track him when he's moving so quickly. Haze is going to try and use the BJ Blazkowicz dual wield, but it really doesn't yield much, as he's the one who has to make his way back away from Phantom. I mean, when you pop that dual wield, you want to be chasing your opponent, not running away from him.
Of course, very good point. And it looks like Haze is having to really think about his positioning here and actually opting to run away from the mega health area. But this heavy armor is not going to be up for almost another 20 seconds, 15 in fact. And Phantom is going to have this rotation as he's spaced these items so well apart that he can take a long route, get nice position, and here he's forcing Haze out of the hole, taking absolute control of this map.
This was a nice angle that Haze had to work with there to put some suppressing rockets onto the heavy. Still, Phantom is able to grab it. Haze takes the opportunity to try and reposition, but he's got absolutely no idea on the timing. Does get the LG, needs a bit of ammunition. Nice rocket there, 100 damage going to come through. Haze is actually going for the battle with the dual wield. He's getting a ton of damage down, but he's taking quite a lot himself. Phantom needs to be careful here. The Mega going to spawn in 1 second. Phantom's going to get that, and now that puts him in absolutely prime positioning. Only 20 health to speak of here for Haze, and Phantom going to pop up and be a dream destroyer.
Something I'd like to point out that Haze hasn't realized is that there's that little monster that's hanging over, looking over the mega health there. He's got 2 arms on either side, and you can actually shoot through the gap of his armpits. And you can shoot rockets at that mega health. You don't have to expose yourself. And unfortunately, he's not really aware of that by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting, because it gives you a tiny bit of opportunity to work with to get some damage down without exposing yourself entirely. And also being able to cover the mega. So yeah, a slight mistake coming through there, and we now are on tournament point for Phantom.
Wow, I cannot believe this.
He's within touching distance. Let's jump over to Phantom's perspective and see if he is going to be closing it out right here, right now. They do end up face to face with one another. Haze popping the invis. Phantom going with the piercing sights. He's keeping good track of him. That LG doing a ton of damage. The 100 damage rocket coming through from Phantom. That's going to put Haze on the back foot. Follows up with the shotgun.
That super shotgun taking 70 damage off him, and that was the last that he could possibly spare, having to eliminate the Nyx, and Haze popping out this BJ now and hopefully going to use his dual wield to the best of his ability.
My word, Static, what are we seeing here? Phantom is just decimating Haze at this point. Really, I mean, they're worlds apart at this stage. They're staring down the barrel of another 3-0 here. Phantom, he's already got the 1 champion advantage, and you can see he has now got his head in the game. Ever since that first round where they went to head-to-head, he knew he was giving Haze way too much space and respect, and he needed to start backing himself. There's a reason he's the favorite. There's a reason he's the champion. And believing in his ability a little bit more. I think that's what it really boiled down to in that first round on Awoken, was that he was just giving too much respect to Haze.
Definitely, and giving his opponent enough time to cook up a plan to try and cut him off. But unfortunately, if he's going to force the situation here, he's going to force Haze to play on his terms, on Phantom's terms. So really, really good to see that he's actually forcing the situation here and giving Haze a bit of a uneasy ground to work on.
Phantom 2 kills away. You see the piercing side coming through. He's got a really good idea on Haze's positioning here. He's going to go for the MG once again, getting a good amount of damage done. He reads it perfectly as well. Phantom cutting him off. 1 champion left for Haze. Haze has to win out from this point to keep himself in this matchup. This is the grand final, a best of 7, and we're nearly finished. This is not how I wanted it. I wanted it to be a very close game.
I thought we were going to have 2 hours of Quake. It turns out
you were scared about missing your flight.
Guys, I'm going to have too much time on my hands. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself after this.
I'll take you to the CS stand, man. I'll teach you a little bit about the game. But we have still got a very good game of Quake on our hands here. It looks like it might just end. Phantom smells blood, the shark in the water. Haze bleeding from all orifices at this stage. And at this point, points. It looks like Phantom's going to be able to close it out. And we do, ladies and gentlemen. We have got our Comic-Con African champion. It is Phantom, the man, the myth, the legend, as he was known in the local scene.
Can I just say one thing here? Phantom won the Rush tournament before this, early on this year. He won a laptop as a first prize. He has now brought that laptop to this event, and he's used his prize from his previous event to win a prize from this event. So it's seriously just the game and the tournament's working for themselves, and just really, wow, I cannot believe this. It's so funny.
I mean, he's raking in prize pools at the moment. Someone's going to have to put a stop to this, man. Please, we need some young, up-and-coming, strapping player who's going to be able to dethrone him.
We need that next prodigy. Are we talking to you guys?
Yeah.
We need you to bring out that next prodigy. Let's maybe get a really young person with super lightning reflexes.
Yep.
I'm sure he's going to have a hard time, as we're all a lot older, the older generation and the old school players of this community.
For anyone who's not familiar, I mean, the top Quake players are generally all over 30 years old.
Yeah.
Which it's probably the highest average age across competitive esports in South Africa.
Interesting.
So, I mean, we do need some youth coming through, guys. If you enjoyed this tournament, be sure to get the game. Play it while it's free to play. This game has been around probably longer than a lot of you have been alive.
Indeed. I mean, by the time I started playing this game, this guy, Phantom, was already professional. And I met him, and he had already won like 1 or 2 international, well, come top maybe 10 in 2 international events. This guy's phenomenal, and he's just never let up from day one. He's just won every single tournament in this country.
So who is going to be the man to dethrone the champion? It's something I would love to see, but in that same breath, it's phenomenal watching him play the game, man. It's almost just something that I could do for entertainment. Just the movement, it's so slick and calm, and he's so composed in his games. It's really a fantastic trait to have. He's a very mature person as well, so
yeah,
it all comes together and creates a perfect, complex combination to be a top player.
Indeed, you're really correct.
For Haze, though, that he just wasn't able to get going today. After picking up that first round, he probably was backing himself a little bit. But did it come down to the fact that Phantom perhaps identified that he was giving too much respect to Chase, giving too much room? I mean, we saw going into that second round on Awoken, immediately he changed the pace of the game. Immediately in the second round.
Yes, so exactly what you're saying. We saw an incredibly slow pace. And did Chase or Phantom win the first round on Awoken? It was Chase.
Chase won the first round.
Yeah.
Do you remember it was in the last 3 seconds? The first kill happened.
It was in the doorway as well. Yes.
They both players had all 3 champions remaining in the first round, heading into about 4 minutes 57 seconds.
Yeah.
And then Chase got Phantom in the perfect position with the dual wield, and he melted him. And that was a great play from Chase. But Phantom, so quick to adapt.
Definitely, and you could see that Chase was busy slow rolling him. He was definitely going to play the clock. He was going to play the upper positions. He was going to play the sneaker game. And all you actually need to win a round is 1 frag.
Yep.
So that's exactly what Chase was doing. Phantom clearly identified that, and he had to pick up the pace. And like I said earlier, force Chase to play Phantom's game.
Yep.
And that's when Phantom wins, when you're playing the ball in his court.
Yeah,
so
you've got to make the man uncomfortable. That's something, I don't know how. Let go of your push to talk. I can hear myself. I don't know how, why, or when, but we need somebody to come up and dethrone this man. Maybe I'll do it.
There's no reason why you can't. I mean, you've got all this unlocked potential. You've got nothing stopping you right now. You haven't been beaten down enough in Quake to be despondent.
Yeah.
And frankly, I don't think you've had a loss to Phantom yet. So actually, you're on the good streak. I've lost to Phantom. You haven't.
Yeah, I've got a really good record, man. I'm 0-0 at this point.
Exactly. So we'd love to get an interview with both these guys. I reckon.
I wish we had 2 headsets. So it'd be really cool to interview them simultaneously. So we're going to have a quick break. We'll see if we can work that out. If not, we'll do them one by one. But before we do head off, before I head off, because you are going to be seeing his lovely face with the interview, I just wanted to say from a personal point of view, it has been a phenomenal weekend. Just being able to, it's actually been a privilege to cast and be a part of this Quake community. I must say, from the first moment, the Quake community they've been great. I mean, even though it's quite small and confined, everybody's really friendly. Everybody's very helpful, open to teaching, and it's not like there's no animosity or anything like that. So guys, just what I'm alluding to is the fact that it's a really great scene to try and become a part of. Don't waste any time. I've heard there's a couple things in the works where they're going to start a few developmental courses and trying to give the people the training that they need to try and take their game to the next level, where we can start maybe putting South Africa back on the international map. Who knows?
Definitely, and with Phantom in the mix here, maybe he can even start coaching. I know I have been, and I've been really trying to help the community that way. But I'd just like to say, having an experienced caster like you, and after the previous event at Rush in Pretoria, seeing how well you and your partner did as a job for the casting of our Quake and really getting our name out there and really making it exciting and giving it really some energy. And it's just been such a pleasure, and I've really wanted to work alongside you since then. And I got my opportunity. I'm really, really happy. I couldn't have had a better day all weekend.
Well, hopefully it's not the last time, because I've had an absolute pleasure working with you as well. I genuinely appreciate the kind words, man.
It's a pleasure.
It's a very big passion of mine. I love being behind the microphone. I love bringing the energy. I love it when people enjoy what I put out there as well.
Of course.
So hopefully this is why I do it, though. I mean, it's for the crowd, it's for the viewers, for the spectators. You know, it's one of those things where I'm trying to add value to the game, but let's just keep it going, man. Hey, there's no stopping. We've got another competition coming up in 3 weeks' time at Rage. Quake is just gaining more and more momentum. You don't want to waste any time before you get involved. So
don't blink. There's going to be another Quake competition.
Yep. From my side, it was an absolute pleasure this weekend, guys. Go check me out on social media at Haze CSGO. It should be on the closing screen, maybe somewhere at the bottom around, but if it's not, at Haze CSGO with the 3 for the E, my co-caster at ZA_Chris, and give us a follow there. Be a kind soul. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for keeping track this weekend and taking part of the spectatorship and giving us some decent numbers throughout the weekend. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to go to a short 2-minute break, and then we will be back with a couple of great interviews. One last time, guys, we bid you farewell.
See you now.
Silent nights recalling you, a souvenir of what it could be. Pieces of my mind are yours. I forgot the parts I'm missing. I pretend that we are okay, like nothing's ever broken. And I pretend that we are dancing, like the nights are never ending.
Guys, I'm back with Chase. This guy had a battle now and a half and had to deal with Phantom, and I don't think any of us wanted to be in that position. Well, we'd all like to be in the position to stand a chance for first place, but I don't think any of us really want to match up against Phantom. And you were actually doing a really good job, but he was pulling out some tricks. Did you have an idea of the kind of gameplay that he might present, or did he surprise you in a lot of regards?
I mean, you always kind of, like, I know how I played against the guy probably more than anyone. So, I mean, I know what I was getting into. But there's always the odd thing that's like, it's like a 60% chance he's going to do this, 40% chance he does that. And then on the day, maybe he switches it and he's like, he does this a little more than he'll do that. Like, for example, on Awoken, I had dual wheeled with BJ and I was in a great position. I was hitting good LG and he was Visor and he like pushed back. and I kind of went around the corner and I like hit him again, and he was more aggressive than I would expect against dual wheel BJ, and he kind of caught me off guard and hit me mid rail, and then it was just like things like that.
So we noticed on Awoken on the very first map, you played the clock out almost to the absolute last second on Awoken, and you took the first round with, I think it was a dual wheel BJ Lightning, and he was stuck on Banana in the first doorway by Lightning Room, and he got absolutely smashed. And we were thinking, wow, you're really going to slow play him, and he's going to have to play your game. And then he turned the aggression up to 11, and basically what we could tell is that he wasn't really leaving too much space, and he was trying to almost engage on his terms all the time. And the pace really changed. So what was your impression? What was your idea going into that first round? And did it actually go to the way we were thinking?
The first round surprised me a lot with the way he played. He was playing very defensive and he was missing all his shots. Yes. You could see he was super nervous, and I was hitting like everything. It was like,
yes, we saw.
Yeah, but what he really changed was his focus on the major power-ups, and that's where I lost it. My timing is easily the worst part of my game. It was just so sloppy.
Can I make a note of that quickly?
Yeah, and he got away with items he probably shouldn't have, like quite a lot. And I mean, Phantom's strongest point is he'll try to get both items, and when he cycles it though, he switches his game up so that as he gets his second item, he switches on the aggressive switch. And why that's so good is because he's aggressive before the second item has ticked down much. So he's like at almost a full 175 of either armor or health, and the other one will have ticked down like 20 or so. So he'll be like as healthy as he can possibly be, and that's when he's like really aggressive. So when he can get those items, because my timing is so slack, like he can really like exploit that strategy he has, and it pays off well for him.
Do you just not really focus on timing? Because I know in Quake Champions you could do a lot of rhythm timing. It's like you can keep stuff in circulation, and you know more or less the gap between. You kind of get an innate feeling of when the items should be coming up. So is this like a purposeful strategy that you don't try and concentrate too much on that because you're concentrating on position and catching your opponent out, or what is it about timing?
So in the earlier days of Quake Champions, timing was less important. The maximum stacks that Mega and Heavy could provide was plus 50 above your starting stack.
Okay.
And in a patch a couple months ago, it was plus 75.
Yes.
So that means if you have Heavy and Mega Control, you can gain 50 more armor and health than you would have in the previous patches. So it's just bad habits that I've just been in from the earlier days, because in the earlier days, having control of those items didn't beat having good position in any particular fight. But now, when you have that advantage, it's enough that Phantom can just go hyper aggro, push through doorways, do whatever, and even if I do a little bit more damage, it's not going to matter. So I feel like the current meta is really suiting the way he's currently playing. So he's playing the current meta very well.
Okay, cool. And I'm not entirely sure whose map pick was Corrupted Keep. Was that yours or Phantom's?
Yeah, that was mine.
So eliminating a map having a map that doesn't have railgun and being able to keep that distance. We noticed that Phantom was using his machine gun to try and close that gap a lot. We didn't see it too much from you, but we noticed that he was whipping out the machine gun a lot. Is there some sort of a strategy that you like to employ running on a map like Corrupted Keep?
Machine gun usage should be heavy. I wasn't using it enough. Nail gun usage should also be very heavy. I also wasn't using it enough. So yeah, he ended up basically just keeping me out of the ability to fight for power-ups a lot of the time, just with that extra spam around the map. And that's what made it easy for him to get control. And then, as I said, he does that trick where as soon as he gets a second item, he goes hyper turbo. And if he catches me in a bad position, it also seemed to line up quite well for his abilities. Like in the very last frag, for example, he picked up Mega, and as he picked up Mega, he also had vision available. So he knew exactly where I was. He was heavy stacked, and then he rocket jumps, and he's got like a perfect fight there.
I noticed at one point he was always using Galena for his last pick. However, he never chose Galena once, I think, in this matchup. He was also using Nyx as his first pick because he knows that you're probably going to use Nyx as your first pick, so he usually chooses a Visor. However, he was swapping that up and he was using the Nyx as well. So never mind not having the ability to see you when you go into that other dimension as Nyx, he was going there himself, and you two were running around looking at each other at one point, and it's actually quite it's quite a disturbing feeling when you realize, crap, am I going to come out of invisibility first? Is he? And he knows exactly where I am, and you can't really trick your opponent in that regard. And it was quite funny to see. Are you comfortable playing a Nyx versus Nyx battle?
So I really enjoy Nyx vs Nyx. I think I typically do very well in Nyx vs Nyx. The basic rules of Nyx vs Nyx is don't ghost first. On DM6, Phantom got away with ghosting
DM6
first.
Campgrounds, Blood Covenant, it all goes back the names.
Yep, on Blood Covenant. So typically you don't want to go invis first with Nyx, because if you go invis first, you come out of invis last.
Yeah.
Which gives the other guy an extra half second or a second to be able to know exactly where you are and move somewhere you might not expect.
Sure.
And as the guy comes out, he obviously has the slight advantage there. So it ended up paying off well for him going invis first on Blood Covenant. He went in Viz first, which you're typically not supposed to do in Nyx vs Nyx unless you really need to get out of a situation, which he's using it just to run, right? But he did it, and because he could come out of Invis first, he could also pick up Mega first, and then he came out of Invis, got Mega, and then I came out of Invis, and I was screwed because I was low health anyway.
Sure.
So it's usually doesn't work out like that, but it paid off well for him in that case.
Very good. And dude, coming second place is definitely nothing to scoff at. You had incredible odds to play against when it came to a guy like Phantom. And we know his competition history. We know you also dominate the scene. You guys are the two best champions we have in the country. And we really hope to see you guys somehow making your way overseas to DreamHacks and QuakeCons and ESWCs. It'll be really nice to have you guys representing our country. It'll be a great reflection of what we have to offer here. And 4.9k, or let's call it 5k as second place, that's probably the best prize money we've had for a second placement, let alone first. Well, I mean, we'll talk about his prize money later, but I think I've been part of a tournament where first place was 5. So getting that for second, and then, I mean, wow, it's such a great opportunity, and also playing at this event. So congratulations, seriously. I couldn't have done any better than you by a mile. So, seriously, I'm really proud of your performance. And unfortunately, today just wasn't your day to come first. However, we have a tournament coming up in the next month. In fact, I think it's 3 weeks. And I'm going to be really excited to see how things change a bit, because playing at this competition level and getting this competition experience and seeing how people swap their game styles when it comes to the D-Day and the prize day, you're going to take all that data, and we know that you're a very statistical player. You were a very excellent poker player. In fact, I think you did it for a living at one point. So stats and odds are no stranger to this guy, or he's no stranger to stats and odds. And it's going to be so incredible for you to take this data forward and actually use it to your advantage in the next competition. And you are entering the next competition, right?
Yes. Hopefully I'll be able to pick up a few things. Hopefully there's another patch. I always enjoy when the patch changes up the meta a bit. I would love to be able to play Slash again. Slash was my favorite, and
wow.
they just nerfed her completely out of the duel game.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of 2 players in the world. So it would be great if they made Slash playable again, and we could play a bit of a different game, because I think the current meta, the way it suits, Phantom is in his absolute prime. I know for me to be on the same level as him, I think I'm going to need to up my timing significantly. My timing is just far too slack. But it would be nice if we had a patch that changed things up as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I know Phantom's in Cape Town working a week before Rage as well, which might give me a slight bit of advantage. Maybe I can get a little bit more
I'll
practice.
have to come let him land in my house and use my internet connection so you can get some practice. Oh, really? Okay, all right. Well, you can always slip me a little something to keep him away. We can work some of your prize money there. And so, yeah, dude, it's been a really excellent weekend, and I couldn't have seen any better Quake. I just want to thank you so much for actually entertaining us and just being here and being in your presence and watching this phenomenal game being played. Is there anyone that you would like to shout out to? I know you've got sponsors and teams.
Yeah, just shout out to all my sponsors, MSI Steel Series, LG, the Energy Gaming brand. Very nice of everyone to give me all these goodies that helped me play as well as I did. Thanks to VGL for hosting such a great league. Yeah, man, it was really awesome. And thanks to you guys for casting and putting on a show for
Absolute pleasure. I would never have been anywhere. I would not have wanted to be anywhere else. In fact, I even retired from the tournament just so that I could sit here and watch every single game of Quake and have this experience to cast these guys play, because that doesn't come around very often for me at a live event. Hopefully, though, coming up in the future, I'd really like to cover some more competitions. However, next month, I think we have the casters already organized. So I'm going to be dipping my toe in the pond there. I'm going to try and dethrone one of these guys, at least for second place. Let's see how much practice I can get in myself. But thank you, Chase. It was phenomenal.
Cool.
I just want to thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to all the viewers that were shouting behind their screens
Absolutely.
and messaging us. It helps a lot. We didn't have many viewers here, but knowing that we have a stream with a lot of viewers, it does help the motivation a little bit.
Definitely. Chase, thank you very much. And have a wonderful weekend, and look forward to seeing some more Quake.
Thanks. Cool.
We'll be back with another interview with Phantom just shortly. Don't go anywhere, folks. See you now. Guys, welcome back. We're going to be having another interview with this Comic-Con Africa Quake Champions vs. Gaming final. Phantom, how do you feel right now?
Feels good, man.
Feels
Always
good,
feels
man.
Good.
Always feels good. You know, you're very familiar with this feeling, this final day, the pressure, putting on a show, whipping out the new magic tricks, you know, all those cards you were holding close to your chest, and it was phenomenal to see you switch that aggression dial up to 11, snap it off, like I like to say. And after that round one of Awoken, realizing that Chase was actually playing a slow roll with you, and you guys were both playing very, very defensive, going 4.5 minutes, almost right to the last second, and having a 1 frag difference, and getting losing that round one. How did you feel, and what made you switch your style?
I think it comes down to me having been. I was really nervous at the start of Awoken. You know, I have a lot to lose if Chase had to beat me in a grand final.
Yeah.
So I think it came down to a lot about nerves. So round one, I was just feeling him out. I was missing a lot of shots. I was playing very, very defensive. Then when I lost round one, I thought, okay, let me just play my own game, because I felt like I was playing more his game in that round. And then round two, I just switched it up and changed it up completely.
Evidently so. We could totally see that from your gameplay, and we were thinking, like, what do you have to do to get this guy to die, because he's playing and he's just keeping out of reach, and you guys were playing, like we said, a bit of a ring-a-rosy, and the first one to fall took a little while. But it was interesting to see that aggression, and playing on a map like Corrupted Keep, I understand it was Chase's pick for the last map, and eliminating that railgun, so you cannot get those distance shots. We saw you utilizing your machine gun like an absolute machine. And what was your strategy with that map? Did you have any particular strategy in mind?
I wouldn't say any particular strategy in mind. Corrupted Keep it's a pretty simple map. It's long damage or long range damage with machine gun, really, and keeping your distance from your opponents if you're out of control. But if you're in control, you want to be getting in his face, putting him in bad positions, and forcing a good LG fight. I found a lot of the time I was putting Chase under a lot of pressure, putting him in bad places, bad situations, and always having an HP advantage in an LG fight that he was always refusing to take with me. So I managed to maintain control throughout most of that map. and that's what like gave me the confidence to take a lot of the fights that he ended up committing to, because he was kind of all in.
Indeed, and reading your opponent really well, we noticed that there was a situation on Corrupted Keep where you were waiting for that mega health at the bottom. Chase was actually raining down, I think, with rockets at one point. I think Chase was on about 20 odd HP. You were incredibly low. You guys ran around the wall together trying to pick up that mega health. Chase picked it up. However, you dodged almost every single one of his bullets and put him back down to 38 HP, and you completely flattened him afterwards. It took us by complete surprise. We thought you were gunners, and getting stuck in an area like by that teleporter and the top by mega health by lightning gun is such a death trap. It was phenomenal to see. And also, yes, what do you like to say? Your mouth open there.
Yeah, the fights around Mega and around the little ledge there before the portal are always very, very awkward. Especially when you got rockets and the guy goes down the stairs and then he's got like protection and all that. So I was lucky to get away with it there, and I had nail gun. And nail gun's known to just sometimes do that burst damage. If you can just predict like a very shortened path of his movement, I think that's where I did like a bulk of like 120 damage. That's what actually, like, when I realized I'd done so much damage after he picked up the mega there, that's what I decided, okay, I'm going to pursue the fight because he's not going to expect it. I mean, as you saw, he was running with his back to me towards the lower green armor.
Guys, if you haven't realized, this is pretty much like playing chess, and it's, again, putting your opponent in a position that's not favorable and playing on your own terms whenever you try and initiate a fight. We noticed, however, that you had changed your champion picks. You, this weekend, have been using Galina as your last stand because of the health buff and the totems. However, you've been swapping it out with a Nyx, and you had a bit of a Visor and a Ranger, but having those Nyx on Nyx battles. Yesterday you said you used your Visor because you knew Chase was going to choose Nyx first. However, Chase did choose Nyx first, but so did you. Are you a strong player when it comes to a Nyx versus Nyx battle? Clearly, you won, but how do you feel about those kinds of battles?
I think after having beaten Chase and Awoken, it gave me the confidence to do a Nyx versus Nyx fight, because what it comes down to there is doing enough damage to your opponent to force him to invis first. If you can force him to invis first, you can invis yourself, see exactly where he's going, and finish him off. So that's generally just the trick there. But yeah, with regards to the mix-up of champion picks, I felt more comfortable playing with Visor over Galena against Chase because he was predominantly playing Nyx. And obviously Visor against Nyx is a hard counter, especially if you can do like what I just said on a Nyx versus Nyx. If you can force him to invis, then I can use my vision and I can follow him and finish up the kill. So I just felt more comfortable with that. But also it's map dependent, right? So if we were to play Blood Run, I would have definitely picked Galena.
Awesome, that's really good to know. Are you going to be entering? I think you probably already have. Are you going to be entering next month's competition?
Most definitely, I already have.
Most definitely, so have I. And the thing is, I was speaking to Chase, and I said to him, I know he's a very statistical player. He's a very one to calculate the odds. As you said, you both played poker very seriously at one point. So both of you like to calculate the odds and do the little stats behind the things. So I was saying to him, is he going to take that data into the next tournament? Because clearly you like to swap it up on the final day. And having this experience, I think you'd probably do the same thing. You're going to take this knowledge and do some homework, watch the VODs.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to see the games from a spectator's point of view, to see maybe where I went wrong. I know I did make a lot of mistakes myself. I think maybe there's obviously less than Chase. But yeah, I think he also knows where he needs to correct his game. Most of the time, I found that he was putting himself in bad positions for heavy and mega. I would be pushing onto those items, be in a position to take those items, and that's what gave me the durability to continue fighting. And he would always end up needing to plus back and go scrounge of a green armor, 50 armor, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I think he knows already where he needs to work on his game. Like, he's got good aim, right? So he's got good rail, good LG, good rockets. So that's what you need, I think, as a start. But I think most important for him, if he can get his timing down, I think he'd be able to produce much better games.
Fantastic. And Thank you so much for all those tips, because I'm going to be utilizing everything. In fact, he mentioned that timing isn't his strong suit, and he's going to have to actually up his game in regards to timing. And he said that lent itself to back in the day where mega healths and armors would only really stack you up about a 50 above your normal cap, and whereas you get about 175 now with those pickups. So timing is a little bit more vital because it gives you a super advantage now as opposed to a couple patches ago. Do you feel the same way? Are you looking forward? He's looking forward to a patch. So he wants to see what's going to be tweaked in this game next. Do you like the game in its current state? What would you change?
Look, I do. I think there is obviously some minor things they can fix. There is still the odd bug that does creep through every now and again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what I would actually like to see changed. It's hard to say.
Any champion buffs or debuffs? I saw Death Knight wasn't in this particular final. He's a very favorite amongst a lot of people, but he's a bit broken.
Yeah, he has been fixed mostly now. So I think if we were to play him in his current state now, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
What I don't like about him though is he's a lot like Galena. He's got a very small model for a medium champion that's very hard to rail and very hard to LG. So that's always a bit frustrating. But in terms of what they can do to better the game, sure. Honestly, I haven't even really thought of it much. Like, I think Tribolt's had some good nerfs. Tribolt's still quite strong, but situational, and it's generally like a hit and miss. But I think I'm happy with where the rocket launcher and LG and rails at. Really, I am. I think the buff to the heavy machine gun as well, being more accurate when you zoomed in, is also excellent. That gun is it's underused. But obviously that's also a map dependent gun. Like DM6, you can use that everywhere instead of even a railgun because it deals so much damage so quickly. But yeah, man, hard to say what I think they need to improve on next.
Fair enough. I would like to give you a moment. Would you like to make any shout outs to anyone, any teams, any sponsors?
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to all the energy sponsors. It's MSI, LG, SteelSeries. And yeah, thanks to everyone for supporting and watching the games. And yeah, just really looking forward to the next competition at Rage, and hope you guys sign up and enjoy the games too.
Fantastic. And I'd like to give a shout out to our producer, JP, Dragonslayer. You will see all our details at the end, and my lovely co-host and experienced co-host really teaching me some things this weekend at Haze CSGO. Again, you will see the spelling as it's a Haze with a 3. And myself, I'm honored to be able to cast at an event like this and be able to work alongside people and actually be entertained by players such as Phantom and Chase and the rest of the crew, Void, also causing some upsets. It's been a phenomenal weekend, and being at an event like Comic-Con, I really hope that this does a lot for our Quake community in regards to more tournaments coming up later in this year, maybe next year, and just hopefully sending our players overseas and having people like Phantom and Chase representing us, if not in duel, hopefully in a team game, as you guys have formed a team too. So thanks to everyone, including First Gaming and Comic-Con Africa and Telkom for setting up the networking here and just making this absolutely possible for us and giving us a platform to display the Quake community skill and show that we are a force to be reckoned with around in this world. And I couldn't imagine better games this weekend. So thank you so much for the entertainment. And guys, if you haven't watched yesterday's games and Friday's games, please catch the VODs on the First Gaming YouTube channel. You'll see day 1, 2, and 3. And it's easily accessible. And if you have any issues, please message any one of us, any one of the producer, myself or Haze, and we'll get you in the right direction and give you the info. If you guys would like to join the Quake community, we have community Discords. You're welcome to contact me. You can find my details there on the last screen that we'll put up. And we'll gladly get you kitted out. If you need some coaching, anything to get you into the game, we really want to grow our community. And to be honest, it's a lovely group of people. We get along so well. We have community tournaments. We have people sponsoring prizes out of the community. It's just phenomenal to see the growth that we've had over the last year, in fact. And Quake is not dying anytime soon, guys. It is here and it's alive and it's never going away. And thank you so much for watching, for all the hundreds of people that were watching over the weekend. We couldn't have done this without you. It's the viewers that make this possible, and it's the viewers that make us want to do this and provide the entertainment that you guys want to see and are asking of us. I don't see any... Are there any community questions that anyone would like to see? I don't see too much in the chat. So if anyone in the next 1 second pops a question, I'm welcome to ask Phantom. I see this... It's pretty quiet right now. I think people are still in shock, trying to grab a hold of their chair and you know, get the blood back in their system. Was a good tourney. Thanks for all the participants. Yes, in fact it was. Okay, so we're going to be closing up the stream now. Guys, have a great day. There are still more tournaments happening at this event. So if you want, tune into the other channels. But thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. Goodbye.
Expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. If I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think, honey, I'm a perfect 10.